Didn't like that.
Meet the new king, same as the old king. Sorry.
Same as the old king.
I got me coughing. Oh, that was
You just
such a
hurt
mistake.
yourself.
Yeah, he just hurt himself. Yeah, drink that beer, boy. You drink it.
Beer
you drink
boy.
it down good.
Welcome, fellow travelers. I hope that didn't blow your ears.
Yeah, immediately they switched to the next episode.
I would too. I was trying to make a reference. We got Ben taking over as king in this episode, and not much changes. And I was like, you know what that reminds me of?
What's that?
CSI Miami.
Just
kidding.
Because not much
Who.
changes.
Yeah. Won't get fooled again by the Who. Meet the new boss, same as the old boss. Anyways.
It's the same show in Miami. It's the same king.
And ooh. Welcome, fellow travelers. You've made it. You've done it. Another week. We did it again. Ned's still here. Somehow. This is, man, we're going to be talking about The Silent King, Season 2, Episode 14. We're just creeping in on that number 50 for our episodes. And that's just kind of absolutely nuts. And also, I had to do a little math right here. Clack, clack, click, clack on my computer. Wow, I paid a lot of money to Michael. Michael, when are we getting paid?
Yeah.
I mean, we got to find some better ads, man. They've been all over the place.
They've been pretty bad advertisements.
I'm proud of our ads, sort of.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm very proud.
There's a few that stand out.
I agree. I want to kick this episode off, though, just kind of celebrating the podcast a little bit more and really Ned's departure from the podcast. He's moving away and he's leaving the podcast for good.
No, get out of here. We got a sexy new microphone set up that I'm going to be podcasting from.
It's going to be good.
We're just going to start pumping out 3 episodes a week.
Well, I don't know about that. But I did want to ask Ned some of his some Nashville questions real fast for him. We'll do this quickly because we do want to get into this episode. It's a good one. Talk about Zuriach and all that stuff. But Ned, Nashville questions. Let's just kind of go quickly with this. Maybe favorite place to get hot chicken. Okay, cool. Go ahead.
I was gonna say Hattie B's.
Hattie B's.
Yeah, it's consistent.
Not bad. All right, Nashville. Favorite Nashville-based artists.
Nashville-based artist would.
It could be a band from out of town.
I mean, I like Kings of Leon. You know, like I don't have anything bad to say about them.
Cool. Favorite coffee shop to poop at.
Ooh, that's a good one, man.
Yeah.
I'd the Frothy Monkey in the Nations. Okay. I've had a pretty good, solid couple poops there.
I have to agree. That's a really good Frothy Monkey. Big open doors. That smell is definitely not going to be getting in anyone's way.
Yeah, it's tucked away enough where you ain't gonna stink up the house.
Favorite bar to go shirtless at.
Bar to go shirtless. Rooftop at Underground.
Okay. Least favorite podcast co-host in Nashville.
Podcast co-host.
Anyways, y'all, we got a great episode.
I was like, it's either you or Michael or Jackie under the chopping block. And I was like, I can't throw my wife under the bus, and I can't throw Michael under the bus because he's done like 2.
All right.
So Russ, you got thrown under the bus.
My eyes just got really wide with anger. Well, anyways, y'all. Yeah, meet the new king. The new king is Finn. Well, I guess the new king technically to us is Zuriach. We have not seen him before. I guess he's a goblin.
Yeah, Goblin King. This is when we talked about when Peppermint Butler killed a goblin, that goblins are not inherently evil.
Yeah, that's right. We got to expand on all that.
Yeah, so we're here now. We're here talking about the episode.
Man, I'm excited
I want to
that.
know whatever battle happened when we intro the episode. It's like in the middle of this battle.
Yeah, what's going on? I thought he couldn't fight. Why is he fighting Finn and Jake?
Yeah, well, the weird thing is, like, it seems like he should be way more powerful than he actually is, but maybe that he just found one little magic wand that, like, poofs him away and throws fireballs, and that's it, you know?
Yeah, maybe so. And he does seem like he has some muscles, but I don't understand how he ended up becoming the king of the goblins. Doesn't really make sense to me. And why is he sitting on top of 2 of them? That's got to be a little debilitating for your ability to run around and fight someone.
Yeah, I want to know if he is like the first Goblin King where he was the one that made the 600 and whatever rules, or if he has inherited.
I can't remember what year it was that he said that the rules were made. It was like 16 whatever.
Yeah, I do have a fun fact about that. that apparently when they opened so in like the first cut of the episode before it aired and like when they were editing it, they opened the book and this was supposed to be Adventure Time's first reference to the Mushroom Wars. And they actually cut it out of the episode. So he's going to open the book and be like, when the first rules were written in something before the Mushroom Wars. And they cut it out of the episode. So I was like, we still haven't gotten that first reference yet.
All right. Dang, man.
But we're closer.
That is a bummer. But the rules are weird. There are 623 of them. And Finn falls asleep during it. But I just wanted to know, like, what perv wrote these rules? Everybody gets spanked no matter what happens. The king can't do anything. Finn couldn't even brush his teeth.
I know.
It
was very... Oh, I'll save all of my deep stuff in regards to the rules for later. But
I just think it's so weird. Like they get punished for him doing anything. You know, it's like there's no punishment for the king. I don't know.
Well, yeah, it was funny. It was kind of like the king could mess up. So Finn would be like, I'm brushing my own teeth and I'm choosing to do so, but it was against the rules. And thus somebody else would be punished for Finn's actions.
Yeah,
you know?
I know. It's ridiculous, man. Well, it's funny too, because on the contrary to that, no king, no rules, you know? So whether you have a king or not, I mean...
I was going to say, we could start it off with the tops of the episode for me.
Okay.
One was Jake's suit. We'll get to that later. But the other tops was when he's sitting there with the hammer and he's like, no one can tell me no. And smashes his hand.
I know. I wish I could remember what exactly he says, but that is such a funny little scene.
Like total lack of self-governance. You know?
All of them have no clue what's going on. They lose it. They lose their like any sort of like will or desire or ability to control who they are or what they're doing. They're all just like, I don't freaking know now.
Yeah, it's like
all the rules are gone.
So one side or the other, so extreme that like it has to be spank rules, like spank me because I'm bad, or no one can tell me I can't start a riot.
Yeah,
you know?
That's the old man who's just like, oh, well, no one says I can't start a riot now. I guess I'll start a riot, huh?
Oh, it's so ridiculous.
I got a great little quote. This is from one of my favorite shows, That 70s Show, Red Foreman. Without rules, we might as well be in trees flinging crap at each other. And it just goes to show this episode. I mean, these guys are basically flinging crap at each other, you know, as soon as there's no king. But Finn, you know, the hero that he is, steps up and he's like, all right, well, I'll be your king. I'll do it.
And Jake is very eager to be the queen.
Yeah, that was so funny. I don't think that's how we watch Shrek on this podcast. And I don't think that's how it worked on Shrek.
No.
I think he would have had to marry Finn, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, they just are at that point open for any form of leadership.
Yeah.
But what did you think about the actual Goblin Kingdom, like itself? When Finn gets the tour of the kingdom, I was like, this is actually like a really cool kingdom.
Kind of dope.
Yeah.
Kind of dope. We get my tops, and I'll talk about that in a second. But the first thing is the goblins are born in mud.
Yeah, very much
not dope.
Very much like the orcs from Lord of the Rings when they the Uruk-hai when they're like digging them out from
totally
underneath like Sauron's whatever like deep crevices.
I wonder, was that an intentional reference? I don't even know.
I would assume so, man. I would assume if anything feels like Lord of the Rings, they're probably giving the nod to it. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. Man, yeah, that, and then where do we go next? The Garden of the Living Fountains. What do you think of that?
That one was a little not as cool, but still like impressive, I would say.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's certainly something I wanted to talk about just because it reminded me of this kid who I almost said his name, but I don't want to say his name, but this dude that I went to high school with, and he had an apple trick, and it was basically what those fountains were doing. You know how they're spitting the water from one person to the next or one goblin to the next? He would take a bite out of his apple, and then for whatever reason, him and his buddy would count how many times they could shoot it back and forth between the two of them.
I think I used to do that with my buddy in like 6th grade with ice, like because we were so bored at lunch.
I thought you were better than that, Dad.
And then, next we get
my tops.
Is it the drag? Oh, the video game room.
The video game room.
Yeah, the
video game room is so freaking cool, man. The Royal Game Archive. Yeah, controller hats and a giant BMO.
Yeah. Next week too, we're going to be talking about a little bit more about the Moes.
The
Just
Moes?
a little bit, yeah. Just a reference, but it's interesting that
Is that next week or is that the week after?
that's next week.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I promise you.
All right.
Promise you. You gotta trust my judgment here.
The Moes, but I
But-
definitely watched the next episode.
I know.
The real you.
Yeah, that's why you weren't watching close enough, and you got to see some little stuff. But it's amazing that you can obviously see that BMO has some sort of connection with video games in the world,
Yeah.
or some sort of technology that's out there in the world.
I think that giant BMO probably has a great conversation.
I
brain.
hope it's sentient. I hope that's a giant
Oh,
sentient
man.
BMO. That'd be so
That
cool.
would be cool. Yeah, I didn't think about that. And then we go to the royal bedroom.
Well, you
which-
missed the dragon lair.
the dragon. Yeah, I
and I
skipped
know
over it on purpose.
I know you hate the Adventure Time dragon, so you skipped over that.
They're ugly.
Uh,
Ben wants to ride one. I'm
Ben
like,
wants to
why?
be a
Why are
dragon
you trying to
tamer.
ride one? Seems silly.
And then we get to the royal bedroom.
The royal bedroom, the king size bed. That okay. Also, Whisper Dan is fantastic.
All right, get to my lovelies.
Give me some sugar, baby.
My lovely is Whisper Dan.
Whisper Dan, dude.
Yeah. Who's your lovely?
My lovely was the royal speaker.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he's just so smooth, and I just love his "since the dawn of time." Like it's
His
good.
pointless speech.
Yeah, I loved it.
I know.
don't know.
Well, I had to stop and pause as we get to the Whisper Dan moment and be like, I don't know what it is about Whisper Dan that he's just kind of around, and he ends up ruling the Goblin Kingdom. Like,
He
spoiler,
does.
for a long time.
Oh,
Like,
really?
We get a reference like later down in another season about like Whisper Dan is still the king of the Goblin Kingdom.
It's perfect though because they do everything for him. At the end of the episode, you see one of the goblins raising his arm.
Yeah.
They like cheer for "Yay, we did it!" Which I guess maybe that was a rule. Maybe that's why there's 623 rules. It's everything you could possibly ever do as a king. Which honestly, to me, that's why if I were Zergiak, I'd be losing my mind.
Yeah.
I would be. I don't know if I'd be spanking people, but I would definitely be needing some form of entertainment.
Yeah.
And he's just got a butt thing,
He's
as
just-
everybody does.
Yeah. I got
On
some
Adventure Time.
weird steak and hams fetish or something like that.
Yeah, but Whisper Dan controls this giant katana that just completely
Sl-
cuts through the king bed.
Yeah. And then some sort of creepy hands that are living in the castle. Like, I was like,
Goblin
that's-
hands, I guess they were like the same color, right?
Yeah. It could be goblin hands, but it could just be like, again, the Goblin Kingdom's awesome. Like, they've got magic power hands everywhere. They've got like tigers that are your blankets while you sleep. Like, I don't know, man. Like, the Goblin Kingdom seems like the place to be.
It does seem pretty cool. Yeah, tigers or lions and a goose to lay your head on.
I know.
It's pretty good, but the giant katana definitely makes me a little uncomfortable. If I were Finn or Jake, I would not be sleeping on that bed. Just knowing there's a massive sword.
Who knows what else is in the room?
Oh, I know.
though,
It's like a trap door. It's funny, though, they had a little toilet, and it's like a little outhouse just like on the side.
Oh, I missed that.
I think it had like saloon doors or something like that. And then on the other side, like in the corner of that room, there's a giant crevice in the wall for a ton of toilet paper.
Yeah.
There's
Oh,
like
I
a
did see
stack
the
full of
toilet paper.
yeah.
So I don't know. Maybe
I
goblins
don't know if
are-
it's the toilet. Maybe it's a closet. I just assumed it was a toilet. It
maybe
seemed-
they get spanked so much that it makes them poop all the time.
make some poop.
You never know.
Maybe.
But I don't know. Well, the other thing, and I wanted to get into it before I got deep into it, but I love how you mentioned that, like Whisper Dan does nothing. They're moving his arm for him.
Mhm.
Pretty much he is just meant to be there to be like the crank guy in the kingdom. All he does is just like they can say, hey, do this, and he like
moves
cranks
things or-
moves things. Yeah.
Is he sentient? I'm guessing he
I don't
is.
think so. No, I
Hmm.
think it is kind of on purpose that he is some sort of like one trick pony robot.
Very much so.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I think that that's funny. And actually, this episode originally was titled Finn the King, but they changed it to the Silent King. And I thought that was so genius because
then maybe it's really about Whisper Dan.
it is kind of really about Whisper Dan and the rule book.
Yeah.
So my whole theory of it all is like, technically, these goblins are self-governing. Like, it's a self-governing society. There is a member of society that is kind of meant to do everything. If there's a speaker, and then there's all these, everybody's got a job to do, and pretty much that job is based in the rule book. So I think the Silent King is kind of like Whisper Dan, but it's really like the rule book is technically the king.
Yeah.
And there just has to be some sort of person, object, inanimate object that operates as a person of power.
It's a functioning society without a king. I mean, effectively, he does nothing, and yet the society itself can run on its own and function better than it could with a king. And it's kind of how you see that sometimes with businesses or middle management or whatever, with micromanaging. It's like those employees are probably plenty capable, and sometimes in your career or whatever, maybe you get in a position where you're managing people and find yourself like, I don't really need to be here, honestly.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, in upper management, kind of being like the reason that, individual contributors or middle management shows up is because they're afraid of getting fired.
Exactly.
But maybe upper management sometimes
got to have
some
the
businesses
figurehead.
may not be doing anything besides making sure people show up.
Yeah.
You know?
Or the figurehead in certain, well, like in the Japanese society where the king he's just a figurehead for, I mean, I guess that's the same with
Yes, the same thing with the UK, kind of, in
So
the royal family.
To be entirely fair, I just want to say I don't really know what the case is currently for Japan. That's just what it was back in the
day. Yeah, not now.
the Meiji era, forever ago. So I should just completely backstep. But essentially, the king back then did nothing, and it was the Daimyo or whatever, So
trust us, y'all. Let's preface anything else I say in regards to the Goblin political society. I am not a poli-sci major. I am not an expert. So anything I say on this podcast is strictly educatedly guessing something or slightly opinionated.
Oh yeah, you can almost guarantee that.
Yeah.
The only thing we have that we really know about might even, I don't even know. I honestly think people in the music industry just kind of make it up as they go. And sometimes they get lucky and they prepare themselves or whatever, but there's just only so much you can do. Everybody's just like faking it until you make it in a way.
Yeah. That's the functioning society that has no rule book.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah. Versus, this one. Well,
so it's a little bit of the society of no one can tell me no.
Man, what else were you really feeling from this episode? Like, what else really stuck out to you? Because I feel like we just slammed through.
We didn't even get to when Zergiak comes back, and the final battle with the earclopses, which I thought it's a super quick battle because Zergiak's lame. He obviously brings, I don't know where he goes and gets an army of earclopses.
I don't know, but they're kind of awesome. Unfortunately, they have a major flaw, and Finn just happens to know exactly how to defeat them.
Yeah, and it's either Finn or Jake, because the Jake suit, which I was going to say another top, so runner-up tops of the episode, is the first appearance of the Jake suit.
It keeps coming back?
Oh, there's a whole episode revolved around the Jake suit.
The Jake suit, I just kind of Finn using the Jake suit is my sexy character.
No, I was going to say that is my sexiest character too. I had it listed. Yeah.
It's. I just thought of it like a superhero suit, and he goes in there and he Hulk claps or Donkey Kong. I was going to say a DK claps.
Yeah, they said the reference is a little bit more about the Hulk's thunderclap.
Okay,
a little bit. Yeah.
Cool. I was just thinking the DK clap because he does it in Super Smash Bros. And I'm assuming he can do it in Donkey Kong Country as well, but I'm not really sure. But you got to have earplugs, and the giant Jake megaphone's pretty great. But definitely the Jake suit it's good looking.
It's good looking. It's functional.
Ripped.
Very
super functional.
I would say my Jake mistake of the episode came from the Jake suit, because when they walk away into the sunset, Jake's got his mouth kind of around Finn's face, and he could easily, with his stretchy powers, put his face on the side or move his mouth to a different spot and still have a little hole for Finn to talk out of, but he chooses it to be in his mouth. So I was like, that's kind of a Jake.
It's kind of nitpicking a little bit.
Yeah, but the fact that the Jake suit's perfect, except for the fact that Jake can't talk, that would make it perfect.
That's okay.
Because if he was a little
that's fair.
Pseudo voice in your head, sitting on the top.
I just feel like as we're getting deeper and deeper into this, I am seeing more of the things that they probably will bring back, and obviously we're talking about it here on the podcast, but there's stuff like the Jake suit that it makes sense. Why would they not bring that back?
Oh, yeah.
There's something like the ninja powers or the wizard powers or any sort of a cheat code that they get along the way. also kind of makes sense that they don't bring it back.
Well, and the fact that they are, doing that and being like, those kind of skills you have to practice all the time in order to hone in on those skills.
Okay.
And it's things that they don't practice, the ice ninjas and the wizarding powers.
Why do you think it smells like vanilla, though? The wizard
he was
curse? What is
cursed.
this?
I want to know, could be, I mean, you think it's a side effect from a magic man curse?
Well, he said a wizard. Yeah. You're talking about like, no, because it was something that clearly Finn knew nothing about.
Yeah, I guess so. I want to know. I want to know what wizard curse.
Maybe it's just something from his past.
Yeah, probably something from his past
that we don't really need to know about.
Or he just smells really good. I don't know.
Vanilla's not a bad scent. It could be worse.
Yeah,
it could be worse. I'm surprised it wasn't peppermint or something like something you'd actually be chewing.
Well, and we just watched him like the last week eat probably 1,500 tons of ice cream. So leftover vanilla ice cream just lining the inside of his system.
Maybe so. Oh, man. Yeah. I mean, I wonder, he has super powered stretchy abilities, but I guess he also has a super powered stretchy stomach and ability to digest food, and also ability to poop it out. I don't know. Does it just disappear? What happens to
I
the food?
never see Finn use a poop bag in any of the episodes.
What is the best coffee shop to poop at in Ooh is what I need to know. Because
well, apparently probably the Goblin Kingdom now.
Yeah, maybe so.
Yeah.
If that giant throne, the total boy style.
It's baby blue boy style.
Boy style. If that's got a dope bathroom, I wanted to see the royal throne. I wanted to see the toilet for some. I don't know why. I really wish I knew. Maybe it was just such a cool bathroom.
Russell's got so pooping and butts on his mind in this episode.
Dang it! Oh my gosh, worst.
I did have a run. I had runner-ups with everything in this episode. A runner-up tops as well was Zergiak looking over at the sunset, having like a peaceful, cathartic moment. And then just running and having like a line of people to just go and spank.
That was one of my favorite moments as well. Or when he breaks up the marriage proposal to, was it Mariah or whatever?
And he's like, congratulations.
That got me too. I really enjoyed this episode. I thought it was super fun.
Yeah, it was packed with a lot of awesome stuff, with a lot of like fun little like future references. And, oh man, there was even a reference I didn't even notice until I did some research. Apparently, at one point, there's a goblin who is like holding, oh my gosh, let me see my notes here. He's holding a ball that has a star on it like, I don't really know what it was, but apparently that was, or had appeared in It Came from the Nightosphere episode. That there was one of the little demon guys in the background holding a ball with a star on it. And I was like, oh my gosh, is this like a callback that one of the goblins was in the Nightosphere and somehow escaped and went back to the Goblin Kingdom?
Can you confirm that? Or?
I can't confirm it. It just says it was in the background. But I was like, my little theoretically speaking of the episode would be that it was, he escaped the Nightosphere and went back to the Goblin Kingdom.
Ooh, maybe he's sleeper agent.
It's a sleeper agent for Hudson Abadir.
Or a double agent. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, do the goblins, are they going to play a big role in our story? Or is this kind of a moment where we get to see goblins?
Yeah, I think it's a pretty like self-sustaining, like non-interacting kingdom.
Okay. I'm kind of happy that they're not grosser or
more evil.
Creepy looking. Yeah, more evil. Though I will say the chewing of Finn's food before he got to eat it was kind of gross.
Yeah, that was kind of like not tops of the episode.
Now that animation though, the way he looks at Finn for a split second there, it gave me
like the wide eyes, like when he's like side eyeing him with big old like
and like close lips, duck lips. It gave me real Rick and Morty vibes. I don't know why.
Well, it's because Morty's lips, that like expression,
the
droopy lips always happen.
So. And the sometimes he has the glazed over large eyes as well.
Yeah,
I think that's probably why.
Interesting. Good reference just in terms of how it made you feel. Yeah,
just random. But anyway, man, let's take a little moment and get some commercials in.
Yeah, we'll get some ads, and then I got some deep thoughts coming on your way.
Good, because man, we're running through this episode. But it's a goodie.
It's a goodie.
All right. Since the dawn of time, Homo sapiens have contemplated Oo's most troubling queries, but none, even the quest for existential explanation, come close to that of the Goblin Kings. Shall he spank? Shall he set thy buttocks ablaze? Is it indeed spanking time? Only the Goblin King may answer this question, and even then, is it he who chooses to spank, or the spank that chooses him? That, my dearest confidants, is the greatest of mysteries. Stay spanking, my friends, with consent.
Absolutely.
Beam us in, Scotty.
Dude, it's so cold in here.
I'm freezing.
I got my knees shivering. So if I mispronounce words today, everybody, don't make fun of me. Like literally, I'm trying to keep my teeth from chattering just a little bit.
And on that note, make fun of them.
Yeah. Just make fun. Rip it. Yeah. Lay into me.
Go onto our Instagram and just comment on all of our stuff. Helpful, just hateful things.
Make me humble.
Yeah, humble him.
Force me to be humble. Spank my hams.
Spanking time.
Spank my emotional hams over here.
Emotional hams. That needs to be a new bite.
No, new bite. Ned's got big old emotional hams.
Big old emotional hams. Man, right, you know who loved to get spanked in this episode?
I don't know.
Gummy.
Gummy
was like, that's the name of the Royal Goblin Chief of Staff.
Yeah, he kind of had this weird, like, when he jumped in to save the royal bathroom attendants, and he was like, no, spank me. I'll
set my buttocks ablaze.
I don't know. He's a little too used to it now. But that's a great way to lead into my first of kind of two pillars of deep thought into this episode.
Yeah.
That I would say there's kind of two things that are not systemically, but mentally wrong with the goblins in general.
Interesting.
One that I kind of pulled out, and maybe they were kind of the writers and the whole Adventure Time crew on this, was it's kind of Stockholm Syndrome. Do you see that? Like Stockholm Syndrome.
You're going to have to explain that more. How so?
So Stockholm Syndrome, the best example is Beauty and the Beast. That you get kidnapped, you're in some sort of abusive situation, some sort of situation that is like not good for you, and you end up like falling in love with your captor. Yeah. So they don't necessarily love Zergiak. They're, happy he's gone and they're happy to be free, but they almost don't know how to function without him.
Yeah.
They're kind of brainwashed by the system.
But they don't
of the rules.
Him as their ruler.
No. So that's why I said it just gives me hints of Stockholm Syndrome, just the fact that they desire
They're
to
certainly
have this
conditioned
king.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, and maybe
for certain behaviors.
Maybe it is more of a social conditioning than a Stockholm Syndrome.
I wonder too, now this might be bad, but do we know, like, I don't know, can you even say, or is there any like way of understanding, like, is every creature that is sentient and can talk in English or whatever they're supposedly talking in Ooh,
mm-hmm.
Are all those creatures as smart as the other ones? Are goblins as smart as humans, as smart as magical dogs, as smart as candies that are made by Princess Bubblegum? Like, where are we on the intelligence scale for these goblins? I mean, they seem plenty intelligent, but at the same time, I would assume something that had more animalistic behaviors could be conditioned a little bit better than something that didn't. And I don't even know if that's right to say.
I mean, it's curious. A good point to bring up because we saw in the goblin birthing pit that the one was talking and he's like, I'm being born.
They're born smart enough to say that, at least,
so, And who knows how old some of these goblins are.
Yeah. How long do they live? We don't know anything about goblins.
Yeah, old enough to get engaged, but who knows if that was like 2 days after they were born. So
yeah, maybe they're just like, maybe there's 100 gummies just waiting to be born. They've got eggs and sperm just lined up. And they're just like, you got a week lifespan. And another week, gummy's going to be gone. So maybe the conditioning happens real fast. Probably not. But it is fascinating. Did we see goblin kids? I didn't even look at it. Now that I'm thinking about, they've got a pit where they're born as adults. Did we see goblin kids? Did we see goblin...
I don't know.
People?
We saw at least the little old lady with her hot buns getting robbed.
That's right.
Which I also love the throwback to episode 1 in tree trunks and her hot buns.
I
love the throwback. You can't hate on a throwback like that.
No. Also, ready for spanking, Mr. Zergiak Part 2. Oh man, that's what we should have done for the commercial. It should have done like a movie, Mr. Zergiak Part 2, Return of the Spankers. I don't know.
Not another, and we can't do two bad advertisements.
I know, just movies. Also, well, we did that one time.
I think so. But we don't. We at least see like a little old lady. If there's a large group shot of the goblins, I don't really think we see any like children goblins, and rightfully so. Kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I don't think we do either. But we did see in that same scene just a myriad of townspeople turning around, just ready for their spankings. I mean, all of them were conditioned to be spanked. And she was so afraid, it's like, oh no, you're just like the other king. You're going to, I guess Zergiak was also killing them.
Yeah.
It wasn't just spanking. It was murder that Zergiak was participating in.
Probably murder by buns ablaze.
Buns ablaze.
You can spank someone to death.
Dude, the friction required to kill someone by spanking. I don't even, how many spanks to get to the center of a death pop?
A buttload.
A buttload of
spanks. A buttload of spanks.
Oh man, but no, you were the one that mentioned how
335.
You mentioned how strong he looked at the beginning, how kind of ripped he was.
He was muscular in like a normal guy way. He's muscular in the way that I'm muscular.
So how many normal muscular guy spanks does it take to kill someone?
I don't know, man. I've never tried.
All right.
Me and him are on similar
we'll try
grounds.
After we stop recording, right?
Well, one thing's for dang sure. Wands are for wimps.
Wands are for wimps.
How did we haven't even talked about that. It's one of the best lines.
It's the best line. It wasn't my tops.
You quote it in this podcast.
Oh, yeah. I'd said it a couple weeks back, I think.
Freaking Ned. We didn't even talk about that yet.
I was going to let it come up organically because it wasn't my tops, but it's the best like one-liner of the episode.
Probably should have been your tops.
Yeah. There's just so many good tops.
That's true. It's so funny how Finn ended up eating the wand. Do you think it's because he has experience eating wooden sticks?
I was about to say, that seems a lot easier than eating a broom.
Yeah.
Like he did in Wizards.
I totally agree. I was curious. That was the first thing that popped in my mind. I was like, well, if he can eat a broom, he can eat a wand.
Yeah.
But the wand definitely had a piece of metal or something on the end of it that looked a little sharp.
Like an arrowhead type thing.
Yeah, arrowhead. It's funny how Zergiak just kills himself, or not kills himself, but hits himself with his own fireball by teleporting. He dodged it, and then for whatever reason, he's just like, I'm also going to reposition myself.
Yeah, and this is like the second to last episode that we get of the gold sword.
I know. I wanted to say the same sword. It looks so beat up.
And something. Obviously, it's a great sword because it blocks magic fireballs. And it's an
awesome sword. I way underestimated it.
I rip on the gold sword, and I don't think it was until this episode where I was like, he's blocking like magic attacks with it in this one. And I was like, okay, so this is a pretty good freaking sword, and there's a reason he's used it for so long. He gets better ones, he gets more powerful ones, but this one obviously has some sort of special ability to block magic fireballs.
Dude, spoilers for next week, but the what ends up happening to the gold sword is incredible.
Yeah,
it's amazing.
Yeah, it's so incredible. But then that's
it?
That's the end of the last appearance of the gold sword is next week.
Oh, that's so exciting! I didn't know that was the last.
The last time we
see it.
Yeah,
Jeez, what is my mind?
It's a bummer, but it opens the doors for a lot more fun Finn swords, a lot more like he has some episodes where he's just trying to find swords because he's like, it's kind of an extension of his arm. Wink, wink, hint, hint to all my followers out there. It's an extension of Finn's arm.
All right, I've seen the freaking photos on TikTok and Instagram.
But yeah, man. Again, it's so much to digest in this episode, and more than anything, we've just had fun talking about it.
Yeah.
But my bigger concept in my how I like to get into the real world and how this makes us feel outside of the conditioning and kind of in line with the conditioning of the goblins is the existence of the rules and the existence of the fact that it's a silent king. And I really do think it's the writer's tongue-in-cheek about American politics and potentially kind of like any time that there's a monarchy out there. And that America kind of is, in this essence, we have a constitution, we have Bill of Rights, we have all these rules in place. And the rules are what govern us. Every individual in America is pretty much governed by this constitution. Even the ruler himself, the quote, ruler, president, and the higher ups, we have the democratic
the checks
process.
and balances and all that stuff.
Yeah, and there's checks and balances for power, but it's kind of like.
But certainly the president is treated as if he was a king of some sort.
Yeah, and it's just shown more recently that, to get a little uneducatedly political here, like Trump was not, he was just kind of an image guy. He was kind of somebody that you could side with or side against. And we weren't governed under any different rules of law. But when people start falling away or feeling like they have a lack of an authoritative figure that they have to respect, they start getting a little bit more anarchy driven. And we've just seen that even the rules didn't change. The rules are all the same. And when we start to lose this kind of sense of respect, sense of fear, sense of whatever, in terms of a leader that is the one that is saying these are the laws that apply to all of us, then things kind of descend into that. Like, no one can tell me no. Like, no one can tell me I can't, do this because First Amendment. And they're like, but yeah.
Well, okay, I was like holding my breath, waiting to see where you're going to take that.
I'm trying to,
just because I don't want anyone who's listening to this just because they love Adventure Time to be like,
no,
these guys.
And I'm not trying to take a stance on it. I'm just trying to make a statement that it was very.
I think we all get attached to people, and anyone who's the leader, if your political party or whatever didn't win, you're going to be bummed out. You're feeling like you're not being represented to the greater masses, or your ideals aren't being represented in America necessarily because we have someone else in a different party who's taking over and trying to implement their policies.
Yeah. And like I said, we're terrible at talking politics on this podcast. I would just
say that the idolizing or trying to make someone like greater than is not a good idea in politics. Just don't do that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
that's all I would say to that, really. Anyways, man. Yeah, I just, we've got very little followers. I honestly don't think with our brand we're going to offend anybody by saying any of that, but just in case.
But I think like the lesson, and we won't get into legit lessons right now, but the lesson and kind of more of what I'm stating is that the importance that this episode is called The Silent King is that the rules are so good that the goblins can pretty much self-govern themselves. They have to have this kind of like king on the rock to look up to that keeps them accountable to those rules. But the rules are so good that they are obviously self-governing with a silent king, almost inanimate object,
Maybe they figured out, the rules that they have aren't just what we see where it's ridiculous, where if the king does this or that, someone gets spanked. There's more to it. Maybe there's a whole layout for how they deal with education, how they deal with, I don't know, Medicare or whatever, They've got
Goblin Medicaid.
Yeah, they figured out like economics on a macro and a micro level, and how everything affects.
There's 623 rules, which it has to be pretty granular.
So maybe the king and how he should or should not spank, his people, or is the first 100, and then everything else is like crazy legit, and Princess Bubblegum should look into it.
Yeah, I don't know. Well, Princess Bubblegum. That's we got a truly fascist society over there in the Candy Kingdom, and now this is more of a monarchy here. And turns out that when it's a monarchy with rules, and those rules are good enough in their essence to be the king. Yeah,
just run it on its own. And there's a freaking society called that, but I can't for the life of me think of what the term is for what that is.
Yeah, it's always something.
Yeah. Well, had I known you were going to talk about that, I would have done a little more research into it. But I think that's a really cool thought.
Yeah,
like
it's just a thought where I was like, that's kind of what I think the whole thing was tongue in cheek a little bit. The writers like nodding, and especially because they renamed the episode "The Silent King." It was supposed to be focused on.
When did this
the
come out,
rules.
and who was president?
This would have been Obama. Yeah.
Okay.
Because this would have been sometime between 2011 and 2013, if I'm not mistaken.
Dang.
But
wow.
Yeah, I don't know. That was my deep thought of the episode. And again, rip into me again. And I want to hear you guys' thoughts. If I'm in the wrong, if you have a different way of kind of looking at how Goblin Society is structured that we can bring up and kind of reanalyze again, like let us know. Like,
I mean, I love it because you're diving deeper into an episode that I, quite frankly, stuck pretty surface level on everything for. But, I definitely don't want to discourage anyone from listening just because they're like, these guys and their politics. And the past 3 episodes, they brought up politics on every one of them.
Hey, we're focused on music industry and podcasting, so we are not poli-sci experts. So any poli-sci experts out there, and if this is some sort of type of society we don't even know about that has a name, please let us know.
I'm sure it is.
We'll start deep diving into that for sure.
Yeah. Well, maybe someone will bring it up. We actually had someone reach out via our awesome email address, nea.travelerslog@gmail.com, and just saying they had some thoughts and they just wanted to bring it on the podcast. And with you going remote, maybe we'll be able to figure that out to where we could have someone on eventually. Kind of a guest. I mean, we were talking before this about if we could do some Twitch stuff, it'd be a lot easier to bring on someone who isn't a core member of the podcast, or a core guest or something like that. But, and also hopefully with the remote setting, we'll be able to just bring on more guests. I have some people in mind that are either experts in Adventure Time or just are passionate about this sort of a thing or are connected in some way to Cartoon Network or whatever, that if we could figure out a way to have them on, it would just be incredible, and hopefully with the potential remote setup, we'll be able to do that type of stuff. And Open Mike Eagle will finally respond to my emails.
Yeah, at Open Mike Eagle, you need to get on the podcast. And really, you guys' podcast was so awesome, but y'all stuck really closer to the later seasons. And we need I need to hear your thoughts on season 2 and some of the granular stuff, man.
Yeah. Cool, man.
Well,
Did you have any other deep thoughts?
Yeah, man. I had a few lessons here, and actually, tell me your lessons first.
Yeah, I'll tell you my lesson. First lesson is don't spank your little goblins. In this episode, we saw the long-term debilitating side effects of physical punishment.
Yes.
And it just made me wonder, Ned, were you spanked as a kid?
Oh, yeah, a few times.
It shows. I'm just kidding. Oh, man.
Yeah, I walk with my tail between my legs now, right?
Yeah. No, I got spanked once that I remember. I was so afraid of disappointing my parents that I was oh, crap, anything, I don't know. I just wasn't a bad kid or whatever. I remember one time I couldn't go get the pizza with my dad, and I was so upset about it. I had to go to my room because I did something bad. But then there was one time when my cousins were over, and I think I was acting up a little bit. And my dad, he denies this, but I swear he spanked me a little bit, and I was already upset. I think I got hurt jumping off a bed, and it was just the last straw, And I don't know. That just sticks in my head as the spanking experience that I had.
Yeah, I don't even remember getting spanked. I just know that my dad would always if we were being bad, he would stand up and start taking off his belt, and we'd be like, no, we're not going to be that anymore.
Did he ever hit you with his belt?
I don't even remember, but I know that there was some sort of fear of it. So I was man. It could have been once, and it probably was if you're 4 years old, it's more of it's not bad. Your parents aren't even hitting you. It's just more shameful.
My dad definitely would say he was going to get me Switches for every single birthday that I think I've ever had, which is just going out to the yard and
pick your Switch.
Yeah, just tearing off.
Yeah, I don't know if
piece of a limb.
I don't know if Gen Z even knows what pick your Switch means.
I mean, shoot, the fact that we even know what it means that's a very old concept.
Oh yeah.
My mom had a wooden spoon for all 4 of her boys.
Oh man, and you don't got to swing a wooden spoon besides the flick of the wrist. Wooden spoons are for wimps.
I agree. So are switches. So spanking. Don't spank your kids. Well,
don't spank your kids. That's a good lesson.
It's your decision. Don't spank your little goblins.
Don't spank your little goblins. Man, I had obviously lesson, wands are for wimps. We learned it now. Like, let's no more treating wizards in Adventure Time like they're cool because they have wands. So that's one. Also, never bring earclopses to a battle without earplugs.
Earplugs. Why would you not?
Yeah.
They got a giant ear. It's like the most obvious weak spot.
It would be sound. You think you would know that, so that's what we learned.
It's like the concept of having the Death Star have a freaking exhaust pipe going straight to the core that could explode the entire Death Star. Plug it up.
Except we learn in Rogue One that it was built there by the architect on purpose, right. So it did have a weak spot. At least you got an answer. It depends on what
canon that you. I'm just kidding. Yeah.
We're gonna like really get granular and be like, Disney's not real Star Wars canon.
That was actually Rogue One was pretty dope. I will say to the Empire, just put a crate over it. Like just because it's an exhaust pipe doesn't mean you don't have to have some metal bars.
What's that Family Guy episode where it's Stewie's Darth Vader and he's like, can't we just get some like plywood and like board that up? And they're
so
like,
good.
What would be the resale value?
What would be the resale
and he's like, oh yeah, you're right. I don't know about that.
That's funny.
My last lesson on, my end on a serious note lesson, and this is not, I'm trying not to be preachy with this one, but like we should be aware of political systems in place and be aware of our conditioning in that space. I'm not trying to say anything particular is bad or good or over the top right now, but the awareness to like, the last thing I want to do is be like the goblins and be like, I've broken the rules, spank me, and like I trust the king, and we have to have like just to like consciously kind of evaluate yourself and where you stand with positions of power, with the rules, and like the rules have been good. I think the rules are obviously what helps us self-govern, but don't let the crazy people of power or the lack of people in power affect the way that you follow a system of rules. And that's, and that was, I'm trying not to be preachy there, but the self-awareness aspect, I think is important.
Just being aware of the rules and of your surroundings and just knowing what's going on around you and how it affects your life and how it doesn't actually affect your life, even though you think it does. Is really important. I'm not a very political person, but I definitely think staying informed or being generally aware of what's happening is not a terrible idea, and finding sources that you can trust, because it's hard to decipher what's biased, and honestly they're all biased. Every media source is selling you something. Or they're phrasing questions in a way to lead you to believe something or another, and it is hard to find just something very straightforward. But man, I don't have any other lessons. I think I'm all done for this episode.
Pretty much hammered it home, Russell. Yeah. How can all these travelers follow us? Tell me that.
Yeah, well, thank you for listening, first off. Y'all are wonderful. We'd love for you to go follow us and review us on your whatever podcast listening app that you have. I think really Apple is the main one where you can follow and review. But I will say this, something that I've been diving a little deeper into is trying to grow the YouTube channel some. And I think we finally crossed 100 subscribers, which I don't know. That's awesome. Yeah.
Everything's
not every
win,
one
baby.
of those. Yeah, not every one of those people actually download and listen to the podcast itself, but whether they subscribe because of a short that we posted or whatever, heck yes. And honestly, if you don't listen on YouTube, that is totally cool and whatever. But if you want to go subscribe on YouTube, I'm super down for getting some subscribers on YouTube.
Yeah, at least you get a little ping every day when we post. Not always. You get a Spotify or an Apple podcast ping. But YouTube will give you a ping and be like, they just posted a new episode.
Yeah, so like once a week, more likely. And then sometimes when we do shorts, which I've started to put our TikToks over there on YouTube. But also, I think maybe down the line, as we're talking about maybe trying to do Twitch in some way and YouTube, like we can start to post things on YouTube a little bit more. I don't know. We'll figure it out.
We're gonna be a little bit more video optimized soon.
Yeah, we'll see if that really makes sense or not. And I don't know if we're going to invest in like some DSLRs or whatever. I know I have one, but it's like an older one. But anyways, y'all can check us out on Instagram at Never Ending Adventure Podcast, at TikTok at Never Ending Adventure Cast, Twitter at NEA_podcast, and email us at NEA.travelerslog@gmail.com. I would love more people to email us about episodes, comments, whatever, as you're listening along.
Yeah, we got such good meaty content out of the last good email response we got. And we got a lot of stuff that we were like, oh, we didn't see it that way.
Yeah.
And like, that was fun. I just thought that was fun as hell.
I know. I enjoyed it. I like talking about that type of stuff and just bringing people into the podcast that don't get to talk to us. And this is an open conversation as much as we can make it one, you know, and certainly, you know, I don't know. We're thinking through that, like in a way to strategize and grow the podcast, but also in a way to encourage people to engage in any and every way that we can. I'm always trying to respond on TikTok as much as I can mentally stand being on that app. I like it, but it's a
drainer.
It's addicting. Anyways, y'all, thank you again for another week. And I'm excited for next week. Such a good episode. We're going to be talking about the real you.
Yeah, good episode.
It is a dang good episode.
Good. Like next week, man, y'all, if you made it this far in this podcast, next week it's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be a good one. All right, y'all. Last thing, party forever.
All right, love the spanking you guys. Oh man, hot damn. I appreciate y'all listening to us. So right now I'm going to get you ready. You got to strap on that Jake suit and you got to get ready to get your ham slapped because Russell's bringing you some information right here.
Ned, you didn't have to do a character.
I'm always in character, baby.
Right. Well, that being said, we love you guys and wish you the greatest of adventures. Never Ending Adventure podcast was hosted by Ned Pruitt and me, Russell Tyndall, and engineered by the one and only DJ Cowboy Hat, Michael Hitchcock. Until next time.